give us HEAC because we wanted to make sure that we would be involved
Right.
in doing this, that our view would be represented, and that it wasn't gonna be just districts and school boards. Because although all these people try to do the right thing,
Yeah.
we didn't want to take a chance that we would be misunderstood and left out of the picture.
Right.
So that was the original reason for doing this. The Home Education Advisory Council shall carry out those duties assigned to it by the Commissioner. Council shall work with home educators and representatives of private and public education to encourage an understanding of home education. I remember this one really well because I had proposed to promote home education.
Okay.
Well,
Nice.
the,
Nice try.
well, that's what the superintendents and the school was, no, we can't do that.
Yeah.
So I said, well, okay, how about promoting an understanding of home education? So that's the way it came down. And basically, that's still a big part of what we're supposed to be trying to do. But if not enough people know about us, especially districts and school boards, they don't bring the problems that they're having here. So we can't answer their questions. And first thing you know, something that should be just a minor issue becomes a huge problem.
Either legislatively or judicially. And that's where it had been going before HEAC was formed.
Mhm.
Michelle, I think, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to expand it on this lady's observation that the HEAC minutes have changed just in the last 2 months. Things that were available online no longer are. So things that were available going back to 2010 are now gone. Now it only goes as far as September 2013. That changed in the last 2 months.
Really?
I wonder if that's something to do with the server space or something at the DOE. I have no idea. I know that like they take off like the enrollments and stuff like that going back past 10 years.
Lori Temple did answer that question because, again, Erin was involved with that email as well. And she made a comment that it has been, internet protocol to only have 3 years worth of minutes, but she's more than happy, she indicated, Erin, she's more than happy to put back up whatever they feel is necessary to put back
But
up.
they must be available somewhere else,
Right.
in a paper file or microfiche or whatever.
Right.
Right, do you know if that happened?
But-
If they're off the website, they have to be.
Yeah, they have. Oh, yeah, they have.
I
Sure they
indicated
have.
to her, I only know what happened from the time I took over. I do know that Angela Bell, as several people know, kept very, very good records. And I only know from the time I've taken over to now what's available in my office and online.
So they are somewhere though.
I'm expecting they must be.
So-
Would you mind looking into that?
We have been.
To
We have
find
been. That
out.
is one of the pieces of that right to know that we've gotten, and the attorney is working very hard to answer that. Getting material.
I have to go, but I'll
Okay.
send my email and print out.
So Ellie, did you say that the things from 2010 to 2013 that were removed are gonna go back on? Is that what you said?
I don't know whether they were removed, to be honest with you, I haven't looked.
Yeah,
But Lori indicated that that was what was considered protocol, and part of that is probably because of our
space,
space.
yeah, service space.
You know, we also work with DOIT as far as our space that we're allowed to have certain things.
Okay,
So she indicated to Erin what she had, and that it could be put back on if that is what's needed.
okay. Yeah, I didn't even know that. So I'll go back and, I didn't go back and look at those minutes. For no particular reason, I figured if it's here, it's here.
Mhm.
I don't have to worry about it. Okay. Basically, HEAC has established to try to promote communication between, especially between the districts, the school boards, private schools and homeschoolers to make sure that things don't get out of hand.
So would you go back to the Board of Education and say that you, or will this board at some point look at the new homeschooling changes that are proposed and make a decision here on how you would report that back to the Board of Ed? Or is that outside your jurisdiction?
We've never recommended on legislation as as individual members, we can do whatever we want, because we're basically private citizens too. We could, I think we'd have to check with the commissioner, but we could recommend to the commissioner what to or not to do. But it would have to be, everybody on the council would have to agree, because let's suppose that there was a motion to recommend to the commissioner that he say to the legislature, no, we don't want this bill. But let's suppose that some of the members from either the school boards or the principals, or the non-public schools, or the department don't agree that it should be shot down.
Right.
If we take a vote, then it's like 9-6, not 9-6, you wouldn't have that. Let's say 9-3, well, it doesn't hold any weight.
Right.
Because the school boards will say, well, look, our members didn't want to be part of this. But I think, having read this and having, knowing some background, it's conceivable that with the commissioner's consent, we could take a vote. And at the very least, we could say what we think will happen if this legislation passes. That would be easier to get consensus on than, ought to pass or inexpedient to legislate. I think it would be more difficult to get something like that, and I'm not even sure. I've always thought we can't do that here, but the real reason why I thought that is because that would create tremendous dissension on this board, where there's usually been reasonable consensus, and to recommend on legislation, that would really take a chance of jumbling that completely.
I think you would have to change the RSA. You have to have that in there. If the advisory board also can make recommendations, I think that would have to be in there.
Well, we're advisory to the commissioner,
Okay.
and you guys are here as observers from the legislature.
Right.
But I've always hesitated to take like direct action on something like that.
Yeah, this is really about keeping relationships open
Yeah,
between home educators and other education stakeholders, and we don't wanna put those relationships in
Yeah.
jeopardy.
but, I think it could be discussed, and we might be able to come up with consensus. If we can't, well, forget it, there's no point in doing it if we can't come up with consensus. But I think we'd have to check with the commissioner to see if he wants our advice on this.
I don't think that he needs our advice on it.
He doesn't need it, but he might want it, who knows?
And it seems to me the proposed legislation, to me, shows us a massive breakdown.
Yes, I agree.
And so, but unfortunately, we can only deal with what's brought to us.
Right.
So if the school boards and, the representatives of the schools have issues, I would much rather see them bring something for communication instead of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Having
don't
to
have
come to the
anything.
legislature, and and that's really the purpose that we serve, is to try
Right,
to
and
deal
if
with
not
those issues.
getting
before it gets there.
information.
Yeah.
Someone referred to this came about due to a problem in Berlin, I'm not familiar with that problem.
Yeah,
It's
I can-
three superintendent, it's three representatives from Berlin, the superintendent went to them. And that's what has created.
Was there a problem with a student who,
well, there were a
particular to this
number-
issue, like had been homeschooled for a while and decided to maybe re-enroll or something, and they were,
Berlin, at least at this point from what I've read, is claiming that half of their students are not being educated properly.
Half of them.
half the homeschoolers.
Half of the homeschoolers. But
How they
that's,
come to that conclusion, I
that's a
have
guess.
no idea.
that's kind of a guess.
I read that paper.
Yeah, it's from the paper, so that's,
Yeah, it was in the Union leader,
Union
that's
leader.
how I found out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't even.
How would they know that? It's not like they're getting any kind of,
I was
Evaluation
shocked
results
when
from
I
people.
read the reasoning.
Yeah.
yeah.
I wouldn't think that one person would have that much clout either. I mean, just because I go and complain,
Mhm.
I'd like to see if they had a
I was be surprised.
long
at
list of
that.
data of kids
Right.
enrolling in school, and when they assess them, they're like, what is going
Yes,
on?
that would make sense.
You know, or children who are identified with, you know, some type of special education needs, disabilities that were homeschooled and then came back and hadn't been receiving their specialized instruction.
Yeah.
That would be a problem, because then we are financially liable for providing whatever intensive programming they
Yes.
need.
But it goes the other way too. I mean, so many times parents pull their kids out of school
Right.
because
But
they're
thanks for coming.
not doing well academically and then they have to remediate at home.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, exactly, can go both
And
ways,
the
yeah.
union leaders seem to imply that this was a lot of 16 to 18 year olds.
They find those hanging around the corners of the
Which
street.
they're problems, I mean,
And,
we all acknowledge that that's a problem.
So this is just in the town of Berlin.
Yeah, well, in the SAU, which
SAU,
includes a
yeah.
bit more than the town, I think, you know.
They need
the superintendent,
Yes. Okay.
said she had.
Have a good,
Yeah,
Happy holidays.
talking all
What
of
is the
it.
issue?
yeah. I don't see them that much.
Somebody else
We
was
meet at our
pointing.
Southeasters group of
Mhm.
superintendents
Yeah,
and,
there's
you know,
different
a couple
regions.
times a year. I don't go to the state level meetings because I don't have.
How many
time.
how many regional,
Oh, gosh.
groups are there,
I don't-
roughly?
4 or 5 at least.
Okay, so it is not, there's 10 or 12?
No,
Something
no.
like 4 or 5?
No, they're pretty big regions.
Yeah, almost like the Governor's Council,
Yeah,
something of that, on that,
yeah.
you know, on that line.
But the, you know, there's a state level meeting every month that, a lot of the superintendents go to, but not all of them can get there. But regional meetings are held every month, and a lot of that information will, whoever went to the state meeting will share, and, you know, so we get the communication that way.
And I assume they post their minutes online. I wonder if we can go back and look through their minutes and see if a
Yeah,
problem
that
was
would be-
ever discussed.
Never in the Southeasters area,
Hmm.
but that would be
Well,
the
that's
North
interesting.
Country group up there,
Yeah.
North Country superintendents.
Because
Is that-
this is a big change.
Do you
And
know if that's
obviously
posted?
representatives from the department also attend those superintendent meetings.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right, do you know if that's posted on the DOE website?
Not at the DOE website, it might be on, well, I don't know, New Hampshire School Administrators Association. I don't know if they put all the regional minutes up. I don't know if the state meetings, because the commissioner usually attends a state meeting every month, doesn't he? Or at least other
I just know
representatives
the
of the DOE.
regional superintendent meetings, only because my own administrator
Yep.
attends.
Yep. Yeah, every regional meeting, one of our standing agenda items is a report from the Department of Ed, and it's always somebody different who will come, or depending on what the latest thing is going on. Right now, it's title grants.
Always interesting.
Mm.
Okay, do we have anything else?
No, I just gotta do that right to know thing. I have like 5 emails, I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't have much. I haven't been here that long.
Thank you for
I
coming.
can't hear you.
Oh, no problem.
Good. I asked you if you had comments, right, Michelle?
And I shared them. It was about
Yeah,
the minutes not
that's
being
what I thought.
available
Yeah,
past 2013.
yeah, that's what I thought.
Yep.
Okay, well, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn.
Okay, second?
Second.
There we go.
We don't have to say all in favor.